position.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves once again of our top three. The captain, Senna, and Max Verstappen. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we... So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. The captain lines up on pole position, and Ayrton Senna completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, George Russell, and Sainz, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Norris, and Valtteri Bottas, Gasly, Ocon, Kevin Magnussen, and Vettel. Hamilton, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, and Alex Albon. Stroll, Joe, Ricciardo, they've taken a grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat is Natalie Pinkham. Now, our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn one?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the...
Okay, we've already won the championship, so just relax and go and enjoy this race. You deserve it. Ayrton's behind you now. Our gap behind is 4.3 seconds. They're on fresh softs, and the time last lap was a 1:47.5. Okay, we're monitoring some wear on the internal combustion engine. Be aware that we're going to start to see a loss of power. The fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. Okay, this is your final lap of the race. And that is 7 wins in a row. What a brilliant job you're doing out there. I couldn't ask for any more.
That's a spectacular victory, and with it, the championship is secure. It's been a magnificent season, and they thoroughly deserve the cheers of the crowd here today. So, Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula One. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to the captain. They did a great job at getting the very most out of the tyres without losing pace, something that's a very handy skill to have in modern Formula One.
With that result, the sport's newest team can no longer be touched at the top of the table. What an incredible journey this has been for a team many had written off a short time ago. They are the Formula One World Champions. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One, so be sure to join us for the next one.